Hello everyone, it's Percival here and I'm back again with yet another fucking video on this fucking NFT situation with Wildworks. And Clark Stacey has written an article titled Doing the Math on Solana NFTs. And this is what the article says. That title may have already cost me the intended audience for this article because reading footnotes and doing math isn't nearly as fun as joining an innumerate online mob bent on environmental virtue signalling. For those already actually looking for data to form their own educated opinion about NFTs on the Solana blockchain, here's the too long didn't read version of it. People are right to be incensed about the environmental damage being done by Bitcoin and Ethereum mining, but there are blockchain systems that don't require mining at all and are more efficient than the online payment methods you're using in every game you play. Let's start with some basic assumptions about blockchains that I hope aren't in dispute. I think that we all agree that 1. Blockchains involve computers doing something with data. 2. That computers doing anything with data consumes electricity. And 3. Generating electricity by burning fossil fuels contributes to our horrifying global climate crisis. I'm less confident we can all agree on one more foundational point, but it's nevertheless provable a priori. 4. We're all using computers right now, and we do so quite a bit throughout the day, from school and work to playing games, chatting with friends, shopping, banking, making media, consuming media, and joining online mobs. All of those activities also involve computers doing something with data. Aha, you say, but blockchains and NFTs consume way more electricity than those other things. Like way more. The stuff I do with computers is practically nothing compared to what blockchains do. Not exactly. What you do on your phone, PC, or PlayStation is practically nothing compared to what some blockchains do. Specifically, proof of work blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Other blockchains work very differently, as we'll see, and the computational resources they require are actually pretty comparable to the everyday computing you do on your phone. Let's prove that out then. To do that, we first have to understand exactly what computers do with blockchains that require so much computing power. Let's start with Bitcoin as an example. The short technical answer is that computers trying to add a new block to the Bitcoin chain are performing cryptographic hash functions. Sorry, I have a cold. I've had a cold for a year, I think. The short, non-technical answer is that they're trying to break a coded message using the hardest method imaginable. Imagine you're a spy trying to crack an enemy code. The enemy uses an encryption box that takes any message up to a certain size, runs it through its mysterious innards, and spits out a block of seemingly random characters. To make it even harder to break the code, the block of random characters is always the same length, no matter how long the message is, so the input and output would look something like this. Obviously, he links to an image. Think goes to the box of math and outputs a hexadecimal value, or at least some sort of memory value thing. Think for your goes to a box of math and outputs another hexadecimal value that isn't the same to the first one. The third example, think for yourself in order to be free, goes through the box of math and comes out as a hexadecimal value that is similar to neither example 2 or example 1. These are all the same length. They're all 4 characters and split into separate blocks of data. There's approximately 10 blocks of data involved in each and every thing that gets put into the box of math and comes out of it. Back to the article. You've intercepted an encrypted message from the enemy, and miraculously, you have one of the enemy's encryption boxes. But there's a problem. The box only scrambles messages, it doesn't unscramble them. So you just have this, a blank image. You can't make the box work in reverse, so the only way to decode the message is to guess what the message might be. Feed your guess into the box and see if what comes out looks like the code you've intercepted. That's the plan. Just keep putting in every possible combination of letters until the box spits out something that looks like the code you intercepted. What a nightmare. That would take forever. You'd need a powerful computer that could try zillions of different possibilities every second and it would still take forever. But what if you held a contest? Anyone with a computer could make a copy of the black box and try throwing guesses at it until someone hit it. With millions of computers all making random guesses, it should only take a few seconds for somebody to get lucky and hit the right answer. You could give that person a prize, something like, say, a Bitcoin. Once people realise the prize for guessing the message first is pretty sweet, they'll want to get more computers, fastest possible, to improve their odds of winning. That's a pretty close analogy to what happens every time a new block is written to the Bitcoin blockchain, which is about every 10 minutes. Millions of very fast processors churn through possible answers and put them through the algorithm, trying to guess what input will produce a particular cryptographic hash. This is what's meant by mining Bitcoin. Lucky winner gets some Bitcoin, everyone else throws away all the wasted processing work they did, and the race starts over. Of course, as the value of Bitcoin increases, more and more people want to mine it, using the most powerful computers possible. Simultaneously, with more people trading and using Bitcoin, more blocks need to be written to the chain, and thus the power consumption increases exponentially. The Bitcoin network generates more than 150 quintillion guesses to those cryptographic puzzles every second, and all but one are unnecessary. All of that wasted computation, all of the fossil fuel burned to power it. It would make a lot more sense to write new entries to the blockchain without having to solve a ridiculously difficult puzzle, and designate one trusted computer to do it. You could probably run the whole validation network on one smartphone if you had a fast enough internet connection. Who could be trusted to do that though? I mean, sure, the blockchain is public and everyone can see what's written to it, but that single validator would have immense power over an entire currency. Even if you created a network of highly trusted people and had them all keeping an eye on each other, what would stop a few of them from getting together and colluding to manipulate the blockchain entries to their advantage? The answer to that problem is proof of stake validation. Anyone can put themselves forward as a potential validator on the blockchain if they want to, but only if they put up their own money as guarantee that they won't cheat. Anyone who uses that currency can also put up money to vouch for trustworthy validators. Because the blockchain is always visible and a lot of people are incentivized to monitor it very closely, any attempt to make erroneous entries is going to be immediately obvious, and that validator, along with everyone who vouched for them, will lose the money they staked on that validator. The result is that new entries to the blockchain are validated by individual processors instead of millions, and the entries themselves require much less computational horsepower. The validators who get to make those entries are chosen based on two things: how many other people deem them trustworthy, and how much they have to lose if they try something sneaky. We know exactly how many validators there are at any particular time, and we have a pretty good idea of where they are, so we know how their electricity is generated. A validator in Norway is going to be operating on an electrical grid, drawing 2/3 of its power from renewable sources. A validator base where most electricity is still generated by fossil fuel is going to have more environmental impact. Because the blockchain is public and all of this information is available from multiple independent sources, which are all linked to Solana, there is much more transparency in Solana's environmental impact than that of, say, MasterCard or PayPal. This is usually where anti-blockchain crusaders acknowledge that okay, proof of stake solves the environmental problem, but and deflect the argument into theories of how proof of stake systems perpetuate economic inequality because the biggest stakes have the largest voice in choosing the validators, as if the current systems for online payments with one central validator, aka your bank or credit card company, holding all of the power and no transparency, is somehow better than a distributed network based on transparency and trust. Their case detours from environmental hysteria into a social justice argument that's even more tenuous, and I may take that up in a future article. For now, though, let's stick with environmental concerns and the comparison to existing online payment methods. I know this isn't a popular viewpoint, but the difference in energy consumption for the 1,200 validators on the Solana network versus the online payment methods we're currently using is a matter of math, not opinion. Proof of, proof of stake blockchains done right will always be more efficient than credit card networks for the simple reason that transactions don't have to go through multiple intermediaries, so all of them can skim a fee and sell your data. Don't believe me? Let's compare. Here's what a typical online credit card transaction looks like, with the source linked. I can't view the images because this is an archive.org link, so that Clark actually gets fucking comeuppance for this, because this stuff needs to be archived. Every arrow. I'm sorry, but making a purchase or minting an NFT on Solana and similar systems is just flat out more efficient than other online payment methods. Plus, you can look at the validation network and nodes running and verify all of this for yourself. Banks won't let you do that. Solana is targeting verified carbon neutrality by the end of 2021. PayPal is targeting 2040. Comparison to Bitcoin and Ethereum is much more dramatic in simplest terms possible. Here's how much energy each consumes per year. Multiple sources here. Ethereum also depends on the proof of work system, and unfortunately it happens to be where NFTs emerged and became popular, creating an additional use case for Ethereum that requires more transactions to be validated on its blockchain. Ethereum uses a different system for compensating miners that results in less wasted computation per transaction, but still an insane amount of electricity consumption and environmental impact. God. There are ways to mitigate this by batching transactions or even wrapping an Ethereum blockchain in a layer that allows it to operate on other, more efficient systems, but I won't go into those because they're not how most NFTs are generated. To sum up, based on numbers commissioned by both entities from independent auditors, one of them is from Solana, the other is from Visor, as well as research by academics and watchdog organisations like Digiconomist, the Solana network uses less energy than online platforms like the Visa network on both a per transaction and an annual burn rate basis. That could be the mic drop right there. NFTs on Solana network use less energy to mint than online payments and about as much as 2 Google searches. For purposes of defending Wildworks' commitment to green game development, that ought to pretty much do it. Cinder is moving us to an e-commerce model that's better for the environment than the ones we're using now. One final point bears mentioning, however, participating in uninformed cross-network online lynch mobs entails far more energy consumption than Solana NFT transactions. At the end of the day, our path to global decarbonisation requires all of us to individually examine where our electricity comes from and how much of it we use for everyday tasks. Wildworks is looking for innovative ways to reduce our game's carbon footprint, and NFTs will be one way we do that in 2022. What are you doing? First off, This is a load of fucking bullshit. Using computers for work and school is essential. Chatting with friends, shopping, banking, making media for entertainment, consumer media for entertainment is essential. Especially since we live in a fucking pandemic. Especially chatting with friends bit. I do not have any friends in real life. Or at least nobody that I can consider a friend. I was previously homeschooled. And while I was in secondary school, from about year 7 to year 9, I think, I never kept in touch with the few friends that I made in secondary school. I rely on the internet to actually be able to make friends because I'm able to properly speak to them via text much better than I do with my voice. Because people will often ask me to repeat things, and I don't like doing that. Or I'll stutter through some sentences that I'm saying with obvious pauses, like I did just now, and like I've been doing throughout the entire video. Shopping is essential, especially for disabled people. Amazon is a service that is essential to disabled people, especially if they're living out in the bumfuck nowhere, like some rural town in Utah or something. I hope nobody in Utah takes offense to that, honestly. I'm using you as an example, I'm sorry. It's either 2 hours to drive to the nearest fucking city to get supplies and such, or you can go with Amazon. Banking is essential because all the banks are online now. I've had several issues with actually getting into the bank because they usually close on Sundays. And everything's moving to the online world in banking and such. And most artists that I know use PayPal. Making media, well, people do that as a fun hobby or something. It's not really my business what you make media out of, honestly. Consumer media for entertainment, that's another thing that I'm not going to really judge much. Unless you're into like fucking South Park. Jesus fucking Christ, you cringe. Anyways, consumer media and art and such is basically part of human life. We had word of mouth stories, we had books, we had stone tablets, we had fucking. Nowadays we've got Wikipedia, we've got fan fiction, we've got fan content, we've got people making fucking giant fucking videos that have helped raise funds to some particular causes. And it's just fucking. This is a stupid point to make. This is just a really fucking stupid point to make. Also, environmental virtue signalling. If Clark Stacey actually cared about the fucking environment, he'd use different wording. Because this isn't virtue signalling, it's telling you that you're making a bad decision that could potentially affect the environment. Especially since the game that we are all paying and playing for, rather, is essentially a beta test for something that uses a concept that is often used to steal artwork that people have made and posted online just because people are absolute fuckers. Clark doesn't really support stealing artwork, but you know, supporting NFTs in general means that you support the theft of artwork from independent artists. That and honestly, most NFTs look fucking butt ugly. Apparently, Clark also spent $8,000 odd on 2 NFTs, 2, 3, depends on what he was using really. And I think that was on either Solana or Ethereum. And usually those cost around 1, 2 Ethereum. He could have easily commissioned about 283 artists. 283 independent artists that could probably use some fucking money on Tumblr. Since a lot of the art I see on Tumblr of artists that do commissions, they ask for about £30, $30 rather, for a fully rendered piece. That's less than minimum wage, especially if you're taking into account different drawing speeds that artists have. I mean, fuck, I've seen people do fully rendered shit for fivers. For fucking $5, £5, five whatever fucking 100 pennies are in your currency, I guess. And this is mostly inexperienced artists that haven't really gotten any commissions before. I used to be one of those. Nowadays I have my stuff set around the usual Tumblr artist rate. I know I'm not exactly eloquent here, but I have a genetic stutter and ADHD, possibly. God fucking knows. Either way, the point this is made are absolutely bumfuck stupid. The reason for the fucking online mob is to get him to back down on supporting NFTs and making a fucking NFT game out of a game that we've paid for and played for at least 2 fucking years. I was part of the closed beta testing. I'm not sure which wave I was in, but I got the fucking beta hat from closed beta testing. Entertainment is also essential in this day and age, especially since we're all stuck at home, particularly if you're immunocompromised and can't get a vaccine or whatever. If you're not immunocompromised and you haven't gotten a vaccine, then fuck you, go get your fucking vaccine. Either way, this uses a lot less data than just fucking doing some Bitcoin up the ass. And all the fucking sources he cited are likely from Solana. Solana Beach.io, validators, validators.app, solanacompass.com/validators. I don't know if these sites are actually paid for by Solana. Honestly, this fucking article just mocks the hell out of people that supported Wildworks for a fucking long time, particularly if they were around during the Animal Jam Classic days. This is also really fucking condescending. Most people that were around during the Animal Jam Classic days are likely adults, or at least older now. There's no need to be this fucking condescending towards little adults. Honestly, I don't trust one single thing of this. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'm out. I'm done. For now, anyways.